Hey everyone, your designers are here.
I'm Anita at Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home.
We have tips, tricks, and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
This is episode 241, Washing and Caring for Linen. And the show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/241. And linen is one of our very favorite fabrics that we all love. And part of why I love it is the historical nature of linen. It's been used for thousands of years, actually. So it's a very durable fiber, but a lot of people don't know how to care for it. So we thought this would be a great topic for today.
Anita, it's so interesting that you said that about it being so durable. Because if you look at linen, you think, this is probably it's a very delicate fabric. Mm-hmm. And oh my goodness, I'm going to have to really watch. And you're right. It's a workhorse.
Well, yeah, it's more durable than cotton.
Yes.
And it's more eco-friendly because less resources have to go into producing it. Mm-hmm. And if you think about that, extrapolated out, vintage linen is incredibly green and eco-friendly because you don't have to do anything to create it. It's already been produced and reused and reused. Linen can last hundreds of years.
Yeah, the more you use linen, actually, the softer it gets, the more absorbent it gets. So it's a really beautiful, natural, sustainable fabric.
Well, and my antique grain sacks, and these were used for carrying grain 100, 200, 300 years ago. And I have some that are at least, I would say, 150 years old. They are still holding up. Now, some of them have been patched several times, but it's amazing how old some of these are and how well they've held up. And from what I found out in my research, linen was used in Phoenician times for sails for boats. So that's going to take some heavy wear. I mean, you want a durable fiber for, sailing on your boat. You don't want your sails to go out while you're in the middle of, the sea somewhere.
Yeah. Well, linen is made from a flax, and flax is, a longer,
fiber.
Yeah, it's it's a longer stem and stalk. So the fibers can be longer. And so longer fibers are more durable.
Because when they're woven together, they're tougher than like a short fiber that can come loose in the weaving. Mm-hmm. And here, I'm just going to throw this out. It's so interesting because of course, we do research and I know how I treat my linen. The thing that comes to mind, first of all, for me is my linen sheets, which I love. First of all, not all linen is the same. There's, linen that, like my linen sheets, I have from different companies, and they're not all the same. And I do prefer one over the other. And it's just because of where the linen's sourced, how it's processed. And so when you get something, make sure that when you're looking for, let's just say sheets, that you really do your homework to make sure what kind of linen are you getting? Is it soft? What is the softest linen? How durable it is? Because it's not all the same.
Yeah. Well, let me explain what one particular type of linen is about that people may have heard of. People hear of the term Belgian linen, what is Belgian linen? Yeah. Being famous for chocolates and Belgian linen is pretty fabulous. So I think Belgium is kind of a cool place anyway, but Belgian linen is made from flax grown, processed, spun, and woven into the fabric in Europe and in a specific place in Europe. So it's very place specific, where it might not be linen, it's Belgium that it's done in, but it's in this western part of Europe. And the reason why it's a higher quality and it's kind of revered in linen circles, if you will, is because the flax that's grown there is just a better type of plant. The textile fabrics that can be made from this particular type of flax plant that grows in that part of Western Europe is far superior to others. So that's why Belgian linen is of linens.
Well, and also I know that Portuguese linen is also very good too. And linen, a lot of places now that make linen try to find antique linen looms because they were just so beautifully made and make the best linen. So sometimes you pay a lot, not only for where the linen is grown, how it is processed, but what kind of loom is it made into cloth on.
Oh, good point. I didn't know that about the looms. But the other thing, the last little bit about the Belgian linen, if you really want to know whether or not you're getting Belgian linen, you may have to pay a little bit more for it, but you also would like to know, is this just some nomenclature that the people are using, or is this real Belgian linen? So for the fabric to be deemed authentic Belgian linen, it will have a label or a tag, and it's a very clear label. It says certificate of origin Belgian linen, and it'll have a number associated with it. So if that is on your linen, then you know for sure that that's where it was made, grown, made, woven, and completely produced in that region.
Kelly, I just made beautiful they're no-sew curtains, panels. They're out of a white Belgian linen. They were so that fabric was so delightful to work with. And the hand, or how it feels, there's just sort of a weight or a hand, how it just feels luxurious. It feels like you're holding something special or expensive in your hand. And it really wasn't that expensive, but it was pure Belgian linen. Makes a huge difference, even in the way they fall.
Yes.
There's just something about that beauty.
The different weights also are going to impact how the linen looks. And then there's a lighter weight linen used, Irish linen that is more used for something like a handkerchief. So, there are different weights, and there's rougher linen, and then there's more of a smoother linen. So it really depends on what you're using the linen for, on which one you would choose for different
It's so
products.
interesting that you say that. I'm going to be using some Egyptian linen, which is almost gauze-like. And it is just gorgeous. And I'm going to make a canopy for over my bed with it.
Beautiful. Well, so right. So make sure if you're buying linen, make sure you're aware of the weight that you're buying, that it's appropriate for your project. Because if you're slip covering, I don't think you would want that handkerchief weight linen for something like that. But if you get the appropriate weight for your project, I think it's going to be perfect. Or if you're just buying something already made, they should have used the correct type of linen. But I wanted to talk for a minute about caring for the linen based on what my friend Martha told me. And Martha has...
As in Stewart?
No, not Martha Stewart.
Okay.
Martha is a friend that I met through our friend Shirley of Hospitality Designs.
Yes. Hi, Shirley.
She is a mutual friend. And that's how I met Martha. Martha has been collecting linen and selling it for years and years and years. And I bought a lot of linen things from her, antique linen. And so she shared with me how she would take in these old linens and care for them. And I was going to share what she told me about. And I've tried this and it worked for me.
Oh, do share. Go ahead.
So she takes so if there's a stain on the linen, this is what Martha told me. She said, put it in hot water, in a tub or something with hot water, or warm water, I should say. And this is if there's a stain. So you're going to do equal parts of 3 things in there: powdered Tide, and the other one is OxyClean. And so it's equal parts, all 3. And she lets it soak for about 24 hours. She says, don't even look at it 2 hours later. Just leave it in there. And I had a linen piece on my table, and I had an orchid sitting on it, and I was watering the orchid and not thinking anything about it. Well, I didn't realize the bottom of the pot was unglazed. And so all that water was coming through onto my linen table piece. I think it might have been a monogrammed grain sack. Yeah.
That's happened to me before too. That is such a bummer.
Right. So it was mildewed, and that's not the easiest thing to get out. So I washed it. It didn't come out. So I did this soaking, And I pulled it out at the end of the day. Here's the thing. So each 24 hours, take it out, rinse it super well. And then, at the end of 24 hours, of course, there was still a stain. So, but I was not deterred. I trusted what Martha said. So I did another 24 hours, and I think I did this. And she said, you just keep doing this until the stain is gone. So I did it for about 3 or 4 days.
Oh,
and you can't be in a hurry. And then after about the 4th day, it was gone. Can you believe that? And then I just laundered it normally in the washing machine. But she said, this should take care of it. And she said, if the stain is still there, to take it outside, and either if you have a place to hang it up out in the sun, great, or lay it on top of your table outside, whatever. But the sun will finish bleaching out whatever.
Lay it on the hood of your car.
Yes, there you go.
Outside, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And that is what Martha said. And I will tell you, it worked on my mildewed spot and a couple other things. I've tried it on the antique. And these are antique pieces. So
I was going to say this, but this sort of makes me clutch my heart because, for everything that we hear, wash it in cool water, use very mild detergent. But I think Biz takes out every stain on in the universe. So I think using Biz is a good idea. Make a baking soda paste, I've been reading, because, it's like putting it in hot water is a no-no. And we just talked a little bit about that. But I have linen sheets.
Well, I'm going to say
the
warm.
washer and into the dryer with everything else. And it hasn't hurt them.
Warm, not hot. But again, use at your own, risk. I mean, this is what Martha told me. I'm not an expert on this. We do research, but if it's something that's really an invaluable piece that you're really concerned about, you might want to take it to a professional to have done. Right. So, I mean, I knew when I was doing it at my own risk. My things turned out great, but
I'll tell you the thing. Great grandmother's, christening gown. Don't try it yourself. It's not worth it.
Yeah, you might. Exactly.
I don't know. I kind of believe Martha. I think I'm going to stick with it. I think it sounds good. I
have some linen napkins that I was going to get rid of because I've done everything that, you're supposed to do. And I'm thinking I can't get this out, which is unusual because linen is very good. It yellows, but it's very good for removing stain because it's a natural product. But I'm going to try that with my linen napkins.
Well, what does yellow linen is bleach. So please don't bleach your linen.
Oh, well, and the bleach is something that really damages the fibers and really can break them down. So it's really a bad idea to use bleach on almost anything. I just really don't use it unless my back's against the wall. So I really don't like bleach.
Can I just put a little caveat in here with your Martha's little concoction, which if you have something that is badly soiled, by all means, and if and it's not something that's a treasure, just give it a go. But for the most part, take good care of linen because it can last for. Well, I mean, look, you have 150-year-old grain sacks, but that's a hardier linen. But I'm like linen upholstery, linen sheets, and things like that. Wash them in cool water and put them on the gentle cycle and put them out to dry, air dry if you can. Like I won't air dry my sheets. I don't have a clothesline anymore, but so I put them in the dryer. So I'm not going to be putting them in hot water anymore. That's for sure.
Right. Well, I think you do have to be careful. I do have a lot of monogrammed antique napkins that have some holes in them. And it makes me wonder if they got bleached a lot.
Are they yellowed?
Well, no, they're not yellowed now. They're nice and white, which makes me think they were bleached a lot.
Okay, they were.
No, I didn't do. No, they came to me nice and white.
Okay,
but they have holes, and I'm thinking, what would have caused the holes? Unless they probably just were maybe bleached too often, and then it weakened the fiber. So I don't know what's happened to them, but I went ahead and got them because the monograms are so incredible. And I thought I can use these to make pillows with, how I love my pillows and my monograms. So I bought them anyway.
Yeah. I think that if you just stick with the cold or just a little warm water, and then if you're going to put them in the dryer. Well, first, let me back up. I like to wash my linen separately from other things. So I don't throw in other towels or other clothes. And so they can kind of float around in the washer by themselves. They're not mixing with anybody else. And then I put them in the dryer, and I do it. My settings are kind of like, less dry, or there's like a wool cycle. The wool doesn't really do much. They're too wet. But on the low setting, then they're pretty damp when I open it up, and I just fluff them up again. And then I put it on fluff. Or a similar setting that you might have on your dryer. And then they're just sort of going around, they're getting tossed around, but the air is not super hot, but the air is moving around, so it's allowing them to dry. Because here I would have to lay them out on the outdoor furniture and all that. And I'm living in LA County. There's sooty things in the air. My linen sheets would have to be washed again if I put them outside. As much as I would like a clothesline, across a meadow, I'm not dealing with that. So the dryer has to do it for me. But I just do this, and it takes a long time because you're checking, and then those cycles tend to not last as long on my dryer as the other cycles. They might only be 20 minutes or something like that. And you have to go and check it and turn it back on again. But it's really worth it because in the long run, you want these to last. I mean, these are linen sheets that I've purchased with that super duper Lands' End deal, which was really great. But, there's still an investment for linen sheets. But one of the best investments that I made with regard to my bedroom, for sure. I love these sheets. So, you just take a little bit more effort to take care of them. And once you're used to it, the thing that we want to take out of the equation today is the not knowing. So,
Right.
You're a little hesitant, or it takes you longer because you're not sure. Should I use biz? Should I do hot? Should I do cold? So today we're trying to answer all those questions and take out the guesswork. So in fact, you can take care of your linen in the best way possible.
And the hot water can damage the fibers. So you just need to be very careful about that.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
let's talk about, let's say you have a piece of furniture that has linen on it. So you can't throw it in the washer. You can't throw it in the dryer. What do you do? Well, the first thing you do, if it's not an antique, if it's something that if it's new or, of the modern age, you want to get that stain up as quickly as possible. And you don't want to never rub, because it ruins the fibers and will make it look worn. You want to blot it. You don't want to blot it with anything but a white absorbent cloth. I was thinking, I'll just use paper towels. Don't do that because it leaves fibers of its own on it. What I do is I cut up white t-shirts, and if all else fails, I've gone to the store and for like $11 on like a big box hardware store, gotten a box of white rags that last forever, and you can rewash them and use them. Just blot it up, blot the stain up, never rub it in. Like try to scrape up maybe with a spoon. If there's, let's say you drop an ice cream cone on it, you want to get the ice cream cone up. You don't want to blot that, obviously, but then you want to, whatever's remain, just blot it and start blotting it though with cool water first. Then you want to go and get your manual or any material that has come with your piece of furniture. Again, if it's updated, if you just bought it, and it should give you instructions on how to take out stains. And so you want to do that specific for that piece. Sometimes you can, use water. Sometimes you can use glycerin. Sometimes you can use baking soda, a solution with water on it. Sometimes you can just use mild detergent. But if all else fails, usually under, like, let's say you're doing a chair, under your chair, sometimes it's not quite finished all the way around the bottom. And if that's the case, find a little area that doesn't show and just take some very mild detergent. I'd use Castile soap with a little bit of water and blot that area just to make sure you're not going to see a ring or anything. And if you don't, then that's when you can blot, not rub, your linen furniture.
Yeah. And the other thing that we didn't really talk about is shrinkage when you wash it, because it's a natural fiber like cotton. So it is going to shrink. So the first time you wash it, if it's in warm water or it's warmed up in the dryer, it's probably going to be about a 4% shrinkage. So if you're making curtains or something that has to be a specific size, I would definitely wash it before you sew with it.
And and here's the good point. But let's say you buy linen curtains ready made. You don't want to put those in the washer unless you know that they have been pre-shrunk.
That's a good question. So what do? In that case, if you feel like you want to wash them, like some people want to wash every single thing that comes into their door before they use it for their family. Do you buy them longer? And normally you can only get them several inches longer, the standard.
Why would you wash them? The curtains don't normally need to be washed. I wouldn't wash curtains unless.
That was what I was going to say.
I wouldn't either, but some people do.
Well, I would let them rot on the hole.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, all right. That's our recommendation.
I would vacuum them, but anything that isn't pre-shrunk, you do not want to wash. You could have it dry cleaned, but I'd rather, like mine are white. I did not pre-wash them, the ones I made. I'll send them out because, white's a little different, but if it's not white, even if it's like a creamy color or gray, I'm just going to leave them up there and vacuum them.
Yeah, no, I agree. But there are people that feel that way, maybe people that have a lot of allergies in their family or something like that. And so if you are in that situation, then, you really need to take into account the fact that if you're buying linen draperies or other linen where you have to be concerned about how long it is or how wide it is, you're going to have to buy it bigger, and then you might have to even alter it after you wash it if there's some shrinkage. But
I think now
it's not
wonky.
Small enough, so it's kind of a problem.
Well, although think of this, if you have seams and it shrinks, it'll shrink wonky. It's not going to shrink all the same. So if you have seams, they may pucker or pull. So I wouldn't even go through that whole rigmarole.
Yeah, I think it would be a rigmarole. You're absolutely right.
Sometimes though you buy something linen and it's not pre-washed. So anyway. Yeah. So I would look at that. Although if I'm sewing something, yeah, I almost always, depends. If I think it's going to be washed, I do wash all my fabric before I work with it. But sometimes with linen, I wash afterwards because the ruffles look different if you're making it after it's washed. Depending on when you wash it, sometimes you actually want to do the ruffles wash the ruffles after they're made.
So then when you wash it twice, wash once for the shrinkage factor, then
no, you just would do it after. You just
So in other words, you make your pillow and then wash it after?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does it give it a more like a fluttery ruffle?
It's hard for me to describe what it does to the ruffle, but it looks very different.
It's probably because, just what I said, because it pulls unevenly and it would give your ruffle more movement.
I just you'd have to see it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. I'd be interested
to describe, but it's definitely a different look.
Wow. So, okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's just kind of, if you sew, you would be aware of this sort of thing. But if you don't sew, it's probably not something you would even notice.
Mm-hmm. I'm making poofs, like ottomans with very heavy linen fabric. It's beautiful. It's very nubby.
Nice. So how are you making them? Are you upholstering them?
No, I'm just making them. I'm just making like a box and stuffing it with like high density foam, which is hysterical because I opened the box, which I should have never done, like the bag of the high density foam. Well, it just went everywhere.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It doesn't come in a cube. It comes
like Kelly's exploded.
It comes in
pillow.
a box, and then it comes like shrink. It comes like those space bag wrapped. I'm thinking, I just want to see how this feels. Well, I opened the top of it, and it just foamed up on me, literally foam. But I'm making 2 poofs to go up actually in our study, in our sitting area. That was we talked about small spaces to make them look larger in our last episode. So it's like
an ottoman that you're putting a ruffle on? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not putting a ruffle on. I'm just talking about how different the linen is, because you're talking about, I'm not going to wash those at all. I'm not going to pre-wash it because it's very, very heavy. It's like upholstery furniture, like upholstery material. And so my intent is to spot clean it and tell my husband, do not put your shoes on it. And I'll vacuum it off, of course.
Yeah. Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it does kind of deter it does have some natural oils in it that hopefully will keep it better looking. Mm-hmm.
As far as your clothing, everybody has linen clothing. It's the summertime. You don't need to dry clean all of that. In fact, I think it comes out really stiff. Don't you guys think? Like if you get your white linen shirt back and it feels kind of crunchy, I don't like that. I think the look, you pay more at J.Crew and various retailers for that pre-washed look. I just go with the pre-washed look. And like Anita's saying, I think that's the feel she's talking about with that ruffle on her linen pillows. It's just that really sort of loose, luxurious, kind of lived in, but in a very luxurious way kind of look that linen has that no other fabric really does.
I call that lofty. It has like a loftiness to it.
Yeah, it has you can tell, you can look at linen and tell whether it's linen or something else. It's so easy to tell.
The only thing I love linen. I love the idea of wearing linen. I love to see it on other people. I have such a love-hate relationship. I want to keep my linen like pants in the car, that when I get to the party, I can take off my yoga pants and put on the linen pants in the car and just like walk in and not sit down all night.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to buy linen for clothing or for in your house, you really need to be comfortable with wrinkles. If you don't like wrinkles,
I think we should all just be comfortable with wrinkles.
I agree.
If wrinkles bother you, this is not the fabric for you. It's kind of one of those wabi-sabi things. It's not going to be perfectly crisp and clean. I mean, you can get out a tablecloth and spread it out and it can stay nice and neat and without any wrinkles for a while. But if it's on a bed, if it's on a pillow, if you're wearing it, it's going to wrinkle, and that's fine. And that's the thing. I mean, if it's wrinkling, that's just part of its charm. So it doesn't really bother me. A cotton linen blend will help with making it not so and sometimes they even mix in viscose fabric, so it doesn't wrinkle as badly. But the wrinkles don't bother me. I like them.
BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off. Yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Well, I'm reading, of course, I'm reading blogs all day long too. And I go to some blogs and they have these gorgeous all linen beds and they just make me want to dive into them. They're sort of crumpled and rumpled, but in the best of ways. And I mean, you can tell they're linen and they're just, to me, that is so beautiful and so appealing. I'm thinking my beds look a little too staid and not so comfortable and structured because I really like that look, especially for a bedroom.
Oh, I love that look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then when I'm ironing the linen, I like to do it while it's still a little bit damp. It's going to, because it seems like if you wait till it's 100% dry and you try to iron it, it's almost impossible to get all those wrinkles out.
Yeah, they seem to really set in. I wonder if that's because of those long fibers or something. Yeah.
Or you just have a spray bottle of water.
Yeah, right. Spray it when you're
water.
ironing it. And the other thing I think that can really help is not overloading the washing machine when you're washing them. Because I think the more things are in there, the more they're really going to wrinkle. So I would definitely
they get all
sure.
tangled, especially if it's long fabrics like the sheets or something like that. They get tangled around each other, and that's going to be. And my mom always taught me this, and I guess probably everybody does it. But when you take it out of the washing machine, sort of don't just stuff it all in the dryer like it is.
Yeah,
shake them out. Hold them out. Flip
yeah.
them
My
out
mom taught me that too.
Right, to get a little air about them, and then let them fall a little bit, and then they're not going in exactly the sort of bunched up ball that they became in the washer. You're not just putting that now in the dryer. So, I mean, then maybe that's sort of common sense, but I do that, and I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to use linen. Give it a try. If linen is new to you, and we've talked about, what goes into linen, what it is. There's different kinds of linen. There's different grades of linen, how to care for linen. Don't be afraid to use it. Linen is a beautiful, natural, and sustainable fabric. And the more I use it, the more I fall in love with it. And I've only really been a linen lover for about 5 years. I used to go like, oh, I hate the look of the wrinkles. But the difference, there's a difference between a wrinkle and a deep crease. I don't like the deep creases, but I don't mind that sort of rumpled, crumpled look. I think it's so beautiful. So don't be afraid of it. Give it a try. Try it with some linen napkins if you're a novice.
Yeah.
That's a great way to, just dip your toe into the linen pool.
And while you're dipping your toe in, remember we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Thanks so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, then subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. We're coming at you 3 times a week, and so we want you to keep up. So head over to any of your podcast listeners or iTunes and just sign up to get notified when we have a new episode. And also, don't miss out on the sales at bespokedecor.store. Head over there, bespokedecor.store, and sign up for our insider email list. And that way you won't miss a thing that's going on there either. And Anita and I are taking Bespoke Decor on the road. We will be heading to Round Top, Texas, to the famous Round Top Antique Show. We'll specifically be at the Blue Hills area. I understand that Round Top is humongous and is going to completely wow me. I've never been before. So if you've never been, maybe this will be your year as well. And if you have been and you're familiar with Blue Hills, then for sure, come and see us there. Let us know if you're coming, and we'll give you all the details that you need to know to pinpoint us in the sea of antiques and fabulous things. So we'll be there at the end of September through the entire show. We're going to have special events at our booth. There'll be stuff to buy, us to chat with, and cold drinks to be had, because I understand it gets pretty steamy there in Round Top. And if I have anything to do with it, there'll be some wine, ladies. So definitely head over and visit us in person in Round Top, Texas, coming up the end of September 2018.